I belonged to the 79th Infantry Battalion, and I had to take down a lab run by a certain organization. It all started when I had to go out with the Rapid Response Force guys. I was on guard duty that day, along with some other veterans, waiting to do the guard change at the different posts. When the corporal at the gate shouted that the Rapid Response Force guys were coming and to open the gate, that's when it stopped. The Mercedes, the captain who was in command, told the first sergeant on duty that he needed 2 more men. I was one of the first to jump into action because I had just recently arrived from basic training in the Mexican army. And what happened is that the first sergeant on duty walked by and then turned to look at me. And he told me to grab my G3 and my helmet so I could run quickly to the Mercedes because I had to go on an operation. And that when I got there, I should buy him some tacos from the mess hall. I was really excited. I got into the Mercedes and stood the whole way. I was the gunner in that operation, which by the way was in the early morning. They left the battalion at around midnight, and we arrived at the area where the raid was going to take place around 1:30 or 2 in the morning. It was really dark. Anyway, and the one in charge was a captain. He was leading the operation. This person started arranging us into squads, dividing us in a fan-like formation. And when we arrived, we identified the lab, which by the way was a meth lab. And in that place, we only found one person who was taking care of a sick person. He had a disability in his left arm. The guy was caught off guard because he never saw us. When we got there, the guy tried to run to grab a pistol, a 12-gauge shotgun that he had resting on a table. As soon as the first squad sent by the captain entered, they stopped the guy before he could get there. When he grabbed the shotgun, they pinned him to the floor. And when the rest of us arrived, the commander showed up and we started to secure the area. We began to search warehouses and some rooms that were there. That ranch had a big fenced-in area, kind of like a big cage. They had about 6 deer. In another area, there was a tiger, and next to the tiger, there was a panther, and more like that. In one corner, there was a cage with about 5 or 6 golden eagles. Plus, there was an ocelot. I mean, it was super luxurious. And then in another area, kind of more isolated, there was like a ravine. And there were paths there with a little trail, and it was kind of flat. And that's where they had the lab. When we started to secure the area, the captain in command spoke over the radio and contacted the colonel to report that we had arrived and that the site had already been secured. And I just managed to hear my colonel say, "Okay."
"That's fine. I'll head over there right now."
And an hour passed before my colonel arrived. He came along with some veterinarians. That's when they started sedating the animals. They started taking everything away. That's when they began taking the animals. My colonel asked my captain where the person who was detained was, if he had already confessed, if he had already talked. To which my captain replied no, that the guy wasn't saying anything. He wasn't saying anything. Then my colonel says, "Let's see."
"Right now we're gonna see if this son of a bitch talks now."
When I see my colonel come in, because I was there, guarding the guy, and he says to me,
"You soldier, find something to tie this guy's feet and bring me a pitcher of water."
So I go, and when I come back, I see that the person is face down, and I hear them order another guy to turn him over and pull his shirt up, and they start asking him a series of questions. And the person answers that he doesn't know who, that he doesn't know, that he doesn't know. And they answered him.
"You don't know? You're about to talk."
And they start to wet his face like this with a pitcher of water with his shirt pulled up. And going back with the person who had a disability in his left arm. Well, this person had it smaller, thinner, and shorter, unlike his right arm. Well, to make a long story short, my colonel was so frustrated that he ordered me and another colleague who was there to beat up this person. At that moment, I was in shock. I mean, it was my first operation. I had never seen someone being taken out so cold-bloodedly. I mean, I was traumatized. I spent several days dreaming about that moment. And only because I was wearing a ski mask, otherwise I don't know what my facial reaction would have been. Because the beating was so brutal. Damn, we almost piled on him, and this person, the one with the arm, just kept yelling about their arm. And that was what alerted the commander in a moment of frustration or anger, I don't know. And what I see him do is grab his arm and bend it as if it were damn. He hit him even harder in the face, like 3 times, and there comes a point where he pulls out his pistol and hits him twice in the head. And at that moment, he orders us to throw him into the ravine right next to the lab. Honestly, there are things you just don't forget, and that was one of them. I spent several days dreaming about that exact moment, and even now there are things that still weigh on me.